Hello, this is Georgia Stathis at starcycles.com, and I'm calling in with a little bit of a short. I just noticed this myself, even though I knew it was coming. And here I have Pluto right behind me in my office, who's always there reminding me to remember things. And Pluto's going direct on Monday, October 13th at 1 degree of Aquarius, 22 minutes. Now, around the early part of February, February 4th, 26, Pluto will catch up to where it left off earlier in 2025 at about 3 degrees Aquarius, 49 minutes. But the incredibly important information about this is that on July 1st of 2024, the day before transiting Neptune went retrograde at the 29th degree of Pisces, Pluto was at the degree of 1 Aquarius, 20 minutes, where it will be when it goes direct on October 13th. Why I'm bringing up the July 1st, 2024 date is because that was the day that the Supreme Court of the United States voted that the president has immunity for official acts during the course of his presidency. And that was taking place right before Neptune went retrograde at the last degree of Pisces, about to change signs, but didn't. And Pluto was where it's going to be on Monday, October 13th. Now, the other piece of this odd puzzle, for which I really don't have an answer, but I'm asking you, the audience, who are much more talented in predicting things, is at the end of November of this year, of 2025, to be precise, I'm looking at my star cycles cheat sheet for 2025. Neptune will return to Pisces October 23rd of this year, 2025. It will go direct on December 10th. This is important. December 10th, 2025 at 29 degrees of Pisces, 22 minutes. So here we're having Pluto going direct on Monday the 13th, Neptune going direct at 29 Pisces, 22 minutes on December 10th of 2025, and finishing up where they started a year or two ago in terms of decision making. Now, why is that important? My experience of when Pluto goes direct, or especially when it goes direct rather than retrograde, is that since Pluto is a very black and white kind of decision making energy, if you will, Pluto is the god of the underworld. Pluto is the god that, holds you hostage until you sacrifice something that you believe you cannot live without. And so obviously when Pluto goes direct every year, happens only once a year, there's usually a lot of decisions. Quite frankly, there's endings. We lose people we love. We lose people we know. We hear news about death as well as birth, because it is a resurrecting kind of energy. But I do know when Pluto goes direct, people, wherever it's happening in their horoscopes, and I'm looking at the bigger picture here in terms of government, that there has to be some sort of a decision that requires a kind of sacrifice. I have no idea how that plays out in this scenario that we're going to see over the course of the next few months between late October and middle January and late February, because when Neptune does go direct on December 10th of 2025, it will remain at 29 degrees of Pisces and stay there all the way through about January 26th of 2026, where it will go to 0 Aries and remain. And so, what's the 29th degree? I've given several lectures on that in the last couple of years. I'm actually giving a live lecture in Albany for NCGR on Saturday, October 25th. If you want more information on that, go to our website at starcycles.com, where you will see the registration link. But regardless, the 29th degree of Pisces is the end of the entire zodiac. It's the end of and it falls 29 degrees Pisces. A lot of Pisces falls in the sky in the constellations, in the part of the sky that's full of water, the Sea of Eridanus, I think it's called. And Pisces, 29 degrees, is also associated with a fixed star that never moves called Scheat, Scheat, at 29 degrees of Pisces. And where is that? That is in the constellation of Pegasus, who flies above the chained woman Andromeda, who, by the way, is about to be freed by Perseus before she is eaten by the sea monster Cetus. And, there's a lot of bad press about 29 degrees of Pisces because Saturn will be at 29 degrees of Pisces all the way through mid-February as well. The fixed star at 29 Pisces is about, tidal waves and deaths and storms. And, it's chaotic. It's the end of the zodiac. It's the culmination of 360 degrees, a full circle, right? But Diana Rosenberg, when she was alive and did a lot of work for, 50 years at least on fixed stars, told me one time and gave me a very different perspective of this last degree of Pisces, 29 degrees of Pisces. And she said, since it was in Pegasus, who was one of my favorite characters, I've always collected Pegasus, even when I was a kid, didn't even know what it was. But he's the last of his breed, the flying horses. And she said that Shiat represents release from bondage. Now, bondage, people that are troubled, wars that end, people being released from starvation. I don't know how that will play out. But I do know with Pluto going direct on Monday, October 13th, at the very same degree of 1 Aquarius 22, where it was when the Supreme Court of the United States decided to give the president pretty much full immunity while he was a president, will be challenged. And it's ironic because on Monday, October 6th, Supreme Court has now opened up their fall schedule to decide several matters like tariffs, like, funding, like what should be done, what shouldn't be done. So I don't know. I really don't know. Pluto at 1 Aquarius, 22 minutes going direct is actually also, by the way, on a very close to a fixed star. I think it's 2 Aquarius, which is Aquila, which is the eagle. And it's funny because Pluto, you see this scorpion as always being, Scorpios, Pluto rules Scorpio, the scorpion always being the animal associated, the insect associated with scorpion. But what we don't often see is the symbol of the eagle, which is the higher life or the higher knowledge or the higher, evolution or the higher consciousness, where the eagle, which is very interesting. The eagle has incredible eyesight and can fly above everything and see the smallest, tiniest detail on the ground. Pluto going direct at the fixed star of the eagle, Neptune going direct at Pegasus, Shiat, the fixed star Shiat, freedom from bondage, making choices. There are life-making choices, also death-making choices. So conscience. That's all I can say. I think I always thought that Pluto was always the planet, since Pluto does rule psychology also. You see a lot of therapists and psychologists who have a very strong Pluto in their horoscope. And if they're really good, they're very good at transforming people. They're very good at transforming a lot of things. Old houses into new houses, old cars into new cars, old psyches into better psyches. The idea of transformative, because they have a way of looking at things and helping you see things in a very different perspective. So these are the choices we have as global citizens in the next 2 months, especially in the next 3 weeks, to decide, is there something that we give up, that we don't want to give up, but that's holding us back, that gives us a better life that's transformative? And so with that said, perhaps on the day that Pluto goes direct, October 13th, it might be a good time to spend a couple of hours, a couple of minutes, getting away from the madding crowd, maybe a couple of minutes on meditation, to put yourself in a place where you let it all go and come out of that meditation or out of those hours away with a choice that you need to make, which may require a little sacrifice, because Pluto always requires a sacrifice to move you into a better life. And I'm hoping for our courts and our government that this happens as well. This is Georgia Stathis at starcycles.com. Thank you for coming today to listen to my Pluto direct and my Neptune direct short, and I hope to see you again soon.